7, 6, 1.
Good evening and welcome to the Mount Vernon City School District working session. Today is November 4th. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Please note that President Donna Maribel and Trustee Wanda White will be joining this evening via video conference. Vice President Warren Mitchell will be running this evening's meeting.
Thank you. Can we please have roll call?
Trustee Brown.
Present.
Trustee Kelly.
Here.
Trustee McDonough.
Present.
Trustee Middleton. Trustee Peterson. Present. Trustee Scott.
Present.
Trustee White. VP Mitchell.
Present.
And President Maribel. We have a quorum, and we have student trustee Fedora.
Here.
We can't hear President Maribel.
Student trustee Fedora.
Yeah.
It's not.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can I have a motion, please, to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation, the financial history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, and to receive legal advice on a pending matter? Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
Motion first, second. Do we have a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We're in an executive session.
We will be returning in about 30 minutes.
Oh, so I should have taken up. Right. And it's not chill. Sorry.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys. Hi. How are you? Hi. Hi.
May I have a motion, please, to reconvene to public session?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
At this time, we're moving on to our first presentation, 3.1.
Good evening, trustees. Just want to level set on the presentations that you'll be seeing tonight. The first one being iReady by our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction and Administration, Dr. Doggett, followed by the Judy Elliott Report Overview by Assistant Superintendent of Student Personnel Services, LaJuan White.
Good evening, Board Trustees, Superintendent, Cabinet, and members of the community. I have the privilege to present to you the beginning of the year iReady data presentation, and I'd like to go through this presentation. It's pretty straightforward. It's just no comparison data. It's just where we are at the beginning of the year. No historical data, but I did add some historical data so the new board members can see it overall in context. So what is iReady? iReady is an adaptive diagnostic that automatically adjusts the difficulty of questions according to each student's ability level. Students will see questions based on their chronological age, and as they go through the test, it will get significantly harder. Now, you've seen these slides before on the iReady presentations that I've done in July. Next slide. Students will get about half the questions right and about half the questions wrong. So we know that from the onset. Next slide. How will the iReady diagnostic data be used? Again, it's to analyze, to inform instruction, to monitor progress, and to collaborate with students, families, and educators to set goals. It's the beginning of the year iReady diagnostic for grade students in grades K through 8. We progress monitor. Around January, February, we do a mid-year diagnostic. We see where we are, progress monitor in between, and at the end of the year, we have the diagnostic to see exactly where we are. So, in summary, understanding iReady, I put it into 3 buckets, and I created this slide to make it easy for everyone to understand. iReady beginning of the year testing data is just to inform. It's not to evaluate and make any decisions or say, oh, this is where we are. It's just to inform where we are. It's a starting point. Middle of the year, it's also to inform us, but it's also to evaluate where we are, how we are doing, and what we need to do moving forward. And iReady end of the year is what we did and how we did and what we need to do moving forward for the following school year. So I just wanted to make everybody clear on that. Most students will not be at grade level because the school year just started and they have not been exposed to the entire curriculum. So now we can begin with the ELA beginning of the year grades K through 8. And the ELA tests phonemic awareness, phonics, high frequency words, vocabulary, and comprehension. And as you can see, right now we have about 25% of our students performing at mid or above grade level or early grade level. About 36, about 1 grade level below, and about 38% of our students 2 or more grade levels below. So again, anything in the green is grade level, yellow is in between, and red is below grade level as previously presented back in July. The next slide, you'll see the specific grade levels on how they perform district-wide. And of course, K-2 is lower. better than this. iReady Math, K to 8. Again, iReady Math assesses number and operations, algebra, measurement and data, and geometry. And as you can see, math is always significantly lower than ELA because they now have been exposed to the math content at the time. So as you can see, 13% of our students are performing or mid or above grade level, 43% in the middle, and about 44% below grade level. Next slide. Again, as you can see, grades K through 8, I'm not going to go through them just so you can get a glimpse of what it looks like. K through 8, again, K to 2 is significantly lower because we have our unique learners taking this assessment as well. But again, I also wanted to show you a 4-year perspective to see where we are. And again, it is low, and math is historically lower in this area. We're at 13%. And as you can see, last year we were at 12%, but we ended up at 46%. So obviously we want to be at 51%. So again, over time, the goal is to make sure that we have students entering the grade level, more students entering the grade level on grade level. So our next steps is to enhance our Tier 1 instruction through high-quality professional development, which is strengthening our core program. We want to deliver ongoing, targeted, and differentiated instruction to address student learning gaps, focusing on our Tier 2 and small group instruction. And if you had a chance to look at the PD matrix, our teachers, staff participated in professional development for Tier 1 and Tier 2 today, and inclusive of writing and the science of reading. And the main thing we would like to do is continuously monitor progress throughout the academic school year to ensure alignment with student and school goals and make data-driven adjustments as necessary. And we will do that through our MTSS process, K to 12. So again, I'll be returning hopefully in February and March with middle of the year update to see the progress. This is just a starting point of where we are.
Thank you, Dr. Doggett, for this presentation. Taking the time to ask any trustees have any questions for Dr. Doggett on his presentation. Recognizing Trustee McDonough.
Thank you. Doctor, how much overlap is there, say, for students 2 grades behind ELA and math? Significant overlap? So students who are 2 years behind in ELA, are they also very likely to be 2 years behind in math?
I'd have to do that correlation to see. But what we try to do is if we have a student that's 2 grade levels below, by the time they get to the next grade is 1, and hopefully by the end of the year we move them out of the danger zone. So that's the main thing that we're trying to do. But a correlation between if it's the same students, I will have to look at the individual students to make that determination.
Anyone else have a question? Trustee Brown.
Hi, Dr. Doggett. Thank you for your presentation.
Welcome.
I know you mentioned about the district not having summer school, and I guess as a parent, what would, is that the reason why the district didn't send home like the packets for the summer as well? Because I know they sent just home like you can read, but while the packets weren't substantial, I still noticed the difference when my daughter would start school in September, like she would be kind of on par. So is that why the district didn't send home any packets?
We didn't send home any packets because we did everything online. It was all digital.
Okay.
So the assignments that we sent home were digital. And summer school, the reason there was no summer enrichment program because that was a 10-year grant, started 10 years ago, and the grant ran out.
But the only summer stuff that we got was reading. There was no math at all. There wasn't any math that
believe
came
there were-
home. No, because I am a stickler for making sure that she gets through it. We're fighting now about reading, you know, the 30 minutes a day. But that's just me as a parent. But there was no math that came home. So I did my own math stuff to try to help. But the only thing that came home was reading.
I would have to check and verify that, but I believe something was sent. It might have been on the website, but I will have to verify and check that there was something sent home.
Okay, thank you.
So actually, I have a question piggybacking off Trustee Brown because she's not going to be the only parent that has that same exact experience. Neither one of my children had assignments really over the summer, and I mean not digital or otherwise. So there was like I literally because we checked. My wife is more of a stickler than I am, but we checked saying, did you have assignments? And really what they were told to do was they had iReady assignments, I believe, but it wasn't something, but I've heard a lot of parents say, where was the summer work assignments? Because it's shown that it impacts when they return.
I don't know we did have summer assignments. We had the iReady for ELA and math. That's why we had students keep the devices over the summer. Because originally we were going to keep it, but we had assignments. But I just don't know off the top of my head right now what the assignments were.
Do we have a, Dr. Strickland?
I mean, obviously, there's clear disconnect between what the district did and what actually may have happened. So what we will do is just ensure that we have a clear communication plan going forward for summer 2026 to ensure that either one, if we don't have summer school, what will we do for the students that don't, have anything to do during the day? Or, I mean, make sure we give them work anyway, and then that way there's just no miscommunication. We'll put it on the website, physical letter, and that's the best way to go forward.
Okay.
Any other trustees have any questions? President Maribel, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. So just looking at the data that's presented here, some of it is just a little interesting to me. It looks like in the testing grades in ELA that the higher numbers are through grade 4, which are in 8, which are the testing grades. But then it seems like it regresses when it's 5 and 6 and 7. So I'm just curious as to how it's, they do very well in 4th grade, and then they regress in 5th grade, and then they not even really bounce back, but they kind of bounce back at a 50% rate in the 8th grade in the ELA. And then the data that's presented, you give us grade levels 2025, 2026, but I think I would like to see how it compares to 2024, 2025. That way we could kind of see our comparative analysis in terms of what the first graders were doing in that grade level, and then maybe see what the looping looked like. Because of the grades, if the students in the first grade are now going to be in the 2nd grade, then that might be able to give us an indicator as to how well they're doing from one grade to the other.
So what you're saying is the slide with all the grade levels have that comparison by year, is what you're saying?
Right. If we can get a 3-year comparison of that as opposed to the overall, because the overall diagnostic trend doesn't necessarily help us because it only gives the descriptors for pretty much that grade, it kind of, it bunches everybody together, right? So that's I assume that's K-8 overall, right?
Yes.
In that diagnostic trend. So it doesn't really help us to know where the trigger areas are in 2022.
To see what cohort is where the cohort falls off is what you're saying.
And what
I understand.
those numbers actually look like, and whether or not there's been progress or regression in terms of those grades.
Yes, that can be done. We do that with the state assessments, but that could be done with iReady as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we can move on.
And now we have Assistant Superintendent for Student Personnel Services, LaJuan White, to present on the Dr. Judy Elliott report and next steps.
Good evening, President Maribel, Vice President Mitchell, Board Trustees, Dr. Strickland, and viewing audience. My name is LaJuan White, and I am the Assistant Superintendent for Student Personnel Services. And this evening, I'm going to review the Judy Elliott audit report. Next slide, please. On this slide, I've titled it a reintroduction, and not sure if a full-on introduction was ever detailed and shared with everyone. So I'm going to take the opportunity to do that. And this dates back to 2016. The particular report that I'm going to reference is the report on the audit of the provision of special education and related services to students with disabilities in the Mount Vernon City School District. Next slide. Many people have heard Judy Elliott's name, and upon my introduction to Dr. Elliott as well, it was shared with me that Dr. Elliott was a consultant that was working with the Mount Vernon City School District. When I first heard that, I'm thinking, okay, we don't have much money, we don't need any consultants, until I started to dig into what type of consultant Judy Elliott is. So to give you a little background, she's got 34 years of experience in education. Some of the titles that she has held is special education teacher, school psychologist, chief of teaching and learning. She was an assistant superintendent of student support services and special education, a position I currently hold. She was a chief academic officer, adjunct professor, distinguished educator, and a senior researcher at the National Center on Educational Outcomes. Who is she currently, and what is she doing currently? Is she's an independent consultant that assists various educational entities, including schools, districts, state departments. And what she does is she helps to update and realign infrastructure and whole-level district systems around curriculum, data, leadership, accountability, instruction, and especially those with a special focus on students with disabilities. So why is Judy Elliott affiliated with the Mount Vernon City School District? And that was the question. So I initially heard consultant, and I think a lot of people may have heard her name. And even when I said her name, there were folks that were a little nervous, but they weren't quite sure what the nervousness was about. Judy Elliott was hired as a consultant by a law firm. And this was a result of a clearly significant federal lawsuit that was filed against the Mount Vernon City School District back in 2014, precisely August 1st of 2014. And it was a lawsuit, a federal lawsuit, significant, again, federal lawsuit that was filed by a group of plaintiffs that were students and their families, students with disabilities. Part of the agreement in the lawsuit was they required an audit, a special education audit of the Mount Vernon City School District, and that was one of the resolutions to the lawsuit to address the compliance issues that were levied against the district. So Dr. Elliott formally engaged as an expert. So the lawsuit was brought forth in August 2014. She was engaged as a consultant approximately a year later, in October 16th of 2015. And she was to, in her role, review the various facts, documents, the testimony from the lawsuit. And she was tasked with reviewing the administration and supervision of services and to provide recommendations. And the culmination of her work was the page that was on the first slide, which was an audit report that was submitted December 11th, 2016. And that report is approximately 70 pages long. So quite detailed. So if you can see, lawsuit 2014, she was engaged in 2015. 2016, she submitted this audit report, and off and away she was with that audit report. I'm going to go over this audit report with you and share a little bit more details and give you more context to the story. Next slide. So her report, all 70 pages, which has become part of my life's work, and it's now become a little bit of something that I'm perseverating over. But it's broken into 4 sections. The core audit sections, it's a little bit more than that, but it's broken into 4 sections. And the sections are addressing the critical issues in the category, the observations, and areas of concerns. And then finally, she has recommendations. And I bolded recommendations because although she was recommended as a consultant, she was not only meant to capture some of these critical issues and the observations that she found in the data that she pulled, but her role is also to assist in giving recommendations and ensuring that these recommendations are adhered to. Next slide. So to break down a little bit these sections. So the first one was the performance of students receiving special education services. And that highlights the outcomes related to ELA proficiency, math proficiency, graduation rates, and dropout rates. In that particular section, she has roughly-ish, she highlights about 10 critical issues, and she gives recommendations around those. The next section, section 2, highlights the district organizational structures to support special education. So she delves into standard operating procedures, central office alignment and collaboration, as well as school-based oversight of special education services. I just want you to pay attention to section 2 because at the end of this I want to show you a sort of plan of action, but I used section 2 as an example of the plan of action. The next section is 3, instructional practices, supports, and special education service delivery. So in that particular section, she highlights staffing patterns and usage of staff. She highlights professional development and support, as well as integration of special education and general education instruction. Again, if you look down, you'll see where those recommendations around the critical issues, I think there was about 20-something in section 2, 10 in section 1, and here there's about 25 in section 3. Next, we're going to go into section 4. That's where she addresses accountability, compliance, and the least restrictive environment. Here is where she highlights functional and responsive data systems. She highlights referrals and initial evaluations, suspensions, and the least restrictive environment. And here in this section, she gives about 26 recommendations. Next slide. In conclusion, from 2016, this was a quote that stood out to me. Students with disabilities are general education students first. The other highlight in her report was the quote of the increase of referrals for special education, poor outcomes for all students, including students with disabilities, the low expectations shared, the lack of data-based and targeted professional development, and the general lack of district-wide monitoring and support for special education shows that Mount Vernon City School District is perfectly aligned for the results it is getting. That was in 2016. I want to bring you back. 2014, a lawsuit. 2015, a consultant. Someone comes in, evaluates all that's happening. 2016, the report. The estimated time and the goal was to attempt to address these things within 3 years. That would bring you to 2019. As I'm digging in and I'm doing the history and the understanding what transpired in that time, it was very, very clear that when this report came out, the folks that were addressing this were addressing the concerns, the recommendations, the observations, the critical issues, and it appears that they were doing it in silos as if this was a special education problem, and it was not. it was a larger issue that needed to involve stakeholders, even those that are sitting in this room right now. And so as we look at what occurred in 2016, there was a report or a letter of concern that was issued in 2019 at the end of the year, that this lift was happening with one department and not collectively across the whole district. And so as we started to dig in why, we determined that the root cause was that the stakeholders that should have been involved in attempting to lift these recommendations and do the work were not engaged. And so that was the root cause of what was happening. So the 3 years transpired. She gave her concern at the end of 2019, and then March 2020, we shut down. Her last visit was in 2019 until last week, Monday. Judy Elliott returned to the Mount Vernon City School District. If we can go to the next slide, please. There are many conclusions, and some are disturbing. I'm not going to read all of them, but they are going to be there. But there is some information that I want to be very, very clear. This again was the conclusion from the 2016 report. So the question would beg to be asked, what did we do from 2016? The work was done. Here's the challenge in all of this. Some of the work that was done was compliance-based and not systemically based. And I need you to hear me on this, because at no point do I want to attempt to say that my predecessors in any way didn't do the work, because I have evidence of that, and you will see it as we continue to unpack. But a lot of it, as I started to roll this out to folks who had never seen this report in its entirety, the whole 70 pages, they knew that this existed. They heard of this lawsuit. They knew what the work that needed to be done. But I don't think, and even by some of the facial expressions that I'm getting, that it was rolled out in the way that it's being rolled out right now. And so this report may have possibly contributed, or the work being done in silo may have possibly contributed, or the compliance checkoffs may have possibly contributed to the reason why we have a state monitor to this day. And some of the work was unfinished because it was compliance-based and not systemically driven. So I want to go back to understanding that, yes, work was done, a great deal of work. And with all of the recommendations, as I continue to comb through this, Judy Elliott will update us with her visit from last week. You will see the work that actually was done, but we need to capture it. I'd like to go to the next slide. So what is our plan of action? Because don't come here, Ms. White, and tell us what's wrong with us without telling us how you're going to fix it. And so part of it is what's happening right now. You need to understand exactly what the report details. You need to take a deep dive into understanding what the critical issues were, what the observations were, and what the recommendations were. There's some accountability in sharing this information and this level of transparency. So revisiting the audit report needs to be a constant. Doing part of the next plan of action, which is introducing this report to stakeholders. This is a very public meeting. Everyone is seeing what this report entails. This is being shared with everyone. Dr. Elliott visited last week, Monday and Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to her report from that. We're going to document the recommendations that have systemically been met, not compliance met, but that is part of the culture of this organization. We're going to create a tracking platform, and I'll share what that looks like with you this evening. And there will never be a conversation that I'm going to have moving forward where I'm not going to highlight how that conversation is going to impact the work of the Judy Elliott report. Next step. So just to give you an idea of what her visit looked like last week, she came, she met with Dr. Strickland, with the assistant superintendents. She met with principals, she met with teacher groups, supervisors, SPED supervisors, other district supervisors. She met with related service personnel like speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, psychologists. She met with groups of para-educators, RTAs, and she met with parents. And that was last week, Monday and Tuesday. She also met with our state monitor. And she did this over a period of 2 days. Next. So I want to just share, you know, in my head, and I can't take ownership of this planning tool, but when we talk about having the right people in the right seat, Dana Gardner, who we just brought on, I created in my head, how are we going to capture and track the work that we're doing? And she came back with this planning tool, which is very project management driven. It speaks to the sections that I went over with you, which are the 4 sections that we want to constantly reference, but she unpacked it. So if you see, this is an example. Section 2, Part A. And I have my glasses on, but she calls out what the section addresses. Then she puts the compliance item. If you look over, it has the action step, what needs to be done, the due date or the deadline, the staff that are responsible. And this was part of the root cause before, because there were people, again, lifting this work as if they were the only ones that owned it. And if you see as an example, there's my name, there's her name, there's the director of SPED, and there's the CSE chairperson member. You're going to see as we break this down that there's going to be the responsibility of myself, Dr. Doggett, you know, Jessica Graves, that it's going down to principals, teachers, TAs. There's going to be stakeholders, including board trustees and the decisions that get made. There'll be artifacts that show our progress and our level of impact. And in some cases, the action steps may not be limited to an action step 1. It may be action step 2, 3, 4. But it's going to show how we are progressing toward impact. With that said, this is the direction that we're going in as we tackle this particular audit report. As you notice, when she submitted it and it was in 2016. We are currently in 2025. She expressed her frustration, and I expressed how much time do we have. She said, I'm going to give you all a year, and then I need to report back to the courts. And so this is going to be our accountability tool, and at no point, if you ever see me as you watch this tool, I hope that you will ask about where we're going as far as impact and progress on addressing this, because the goal is to no longer engage in this work with Judy Elliott. She's heard me say that. As much as we do not want to continue a long-term relationship with Dr. Wilkins as our state monitor. Love her dearly. But there's a level of oversight, because at some point there needs to be systemic change. that services all children, not solely our special education students. But as you saw in the quote, every student that's walked in here is a general education student first. Next slide. So thank you. I'm going to ask that, I'm sure there's questions. I'm sure a lot. But one of the things that I'm going to ask that everyone does is engage in reading the audit report. I want to continue to remind you that it is from 2016. There has been change. I will reveal the change, but my goal is to ensure that you all get a quarterly update on where we are and how we're doing. And so I'll leave it there.
I'll take any questions from the board members, starting
I
from
have a
my,
question.
I'm sorry, starting from my right,
I
or
have a question.
starting from my left. Do our student trustee have a question? Trustee McDonough, do you have a question?
I have a question.
Trustee Kelly?
How many times was this report updated since 2016 with Julie Elliott?
I do not have
I have
evidence.
619, 620, 621, January 2022.
Thank you.
So there has been some updates. She may not have physically been in the district, but this is an ongoing discussion. I think we need to look at the historical information so you can be better informed of what is going on. That is not your fault. This is a great presentation,
Thank you.
but somebody's withholding information from you.
So, agreed. Agreed.
And I don't want to waste your time or ours. 619, 620, 621, January 2022.
May I ask you a question? What you're referencing, because I do have
Is the
evidence
update on her
of.
compliance, right?
So
Where
let me,
she
yeah,
says-
that's what I wanted to ask,
Yeah,
because
where
what
she-
go ahead,
Where she says to the district, you're not doing the things that were suggested.
that part.
And you're
correct.
absolutely right, you're
Yes.
on point, but it's frustrating, right? Because it was brought up even when we were doing the budget, that we were paying a monitor for special education. So people don't remember, but they have to refer back to the meetings. That was part of the budget. That why are we paying this woman $20,000 a year? Right, and we're from 2016. So it is, again, thank you very much, Ms. White, but my frustration is the transparency works both ways.
Agreed.
Thank you.
And you're absolutely right. And one of the things I do want to highlight, and I mentioned, and I continue to mention in my presentation, that there was work that was done. I did say from 2016, please, I want to be clear, and I'm going to explicitly share, once I unpack everything, even from her visit last week, what actually was done in 2019. Yes, there were reports, and I started the presentation with sharing. I don't know, even in what you just shared, if that was even known by everyone, all stakeholders.
I want to share with you that
Yes,
we had
please.
a lawyer who was basically the liaison between Julie Elliott, Tom Scapoli, who worked very closely with her for our district. And even when the question was raised about the handbook being on the website, we were assured in a meeting, it's on the record, that it was on the website. So a lot of muddying of the water has been done. It's not that it hasn't been addressed, but it has not been transparent.
Thank you, Trustee Kelly. And I think Ms. White, you'll get back to us on the questions. Thank you. I'm gonna go next from this direction. Trustee Scott, Trustee Brown, Trustee Peterson. Any questions?
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Ms. White, for that report. Honestly, my question, my major concern is, it doesn't matter to me if there was an update in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2019, it's been 5 years. Seeing these conclusions from her 2016 report myself, and I think I can I think I can solidly speak for mothers of especially black and brown boys in this district who are special needs, in special education, who I have myself pointed out 5 of these conclusions in my concerns with my own children over these past 5 years. So to see that these conclusions are in this report from 2016, and to watch the effect, I know that especially boys are suspended at a greater rate than general education students. I know that. Many of us mothers know this. So to see this in black and white from 2016 and the pain and hurt, and I'm speaking as a mother right now, especially a mother of a black boy in this school district, to watch your child suffer, and you're bringing these points up, and you feel like, am I crazy? Is this just happening to me? Because that's how I felt since 2016, 2019. I thought it was just me. So to see this in this report, it is painful for me, but I'm glad that this is out in the open. I'm glad that we are focusing on this, because one thing, myself being a trustee, this is going to be my focus, because I have to fight for every other mother in this district who has gone through this same, who has been the other on that receiving end of these conclusions, that we're fighting for our kids. There's mothers out there with SPED students who don't know how to fight for their children, who have been affected by some of these conclusions. So I am grateful for this report. I'm grateful for Dr. Elliott being in this district. But for myself as a mother of unique learners in this district, and like I said, especially boys of color, this is heartbreaking for me.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson. President Maribel, do you have a comment? Are you on mute? I think are you muted? You got it?
Yes, so I would like to, number one, concur with Trustee Kelly in terms of, just in terms of the reporting to the board over a 9-year period from an individual who has been assigned to the district to monitor and to provide consult to our families, to our children, to our district. And I am challenged, I'll be honest with you, to hear in a report that's over 9 years old. And yes, we may say that in silos work has been done. However, my question, I guess, really lands with what was the actual purpose of a consultant coming in, providing us with this information, continuing to come in? Were they monitoring the situation? What was their role? What kind of guidance should they have been giving us? And are they still here? Are they going to continue to be here? We do have a state monitor, and are we going to have 2 state monitors? Are we going to have the state monitor that was assigned to us in July, along with the special education monitor? Or is there going to be some type of merger at some point, some level? I guess that will be revealed to us at a later date. But the questions are really concerning to me, that over a 9-year period, again, and I agree with Trustee Kelly and again with Trustee Peterson, that there has been a time span where, hits and misses. So where was the accountability? Where was the reporting out? Where was the guidance? I need some help here.
Dr. Strickland, can you answer that?
Yes, President Maribel, wonderful points. So just to give you a little context, when I came into the district and heard about the Judy Elliott report, it was apparent that Dr. Elliott was really only working with one individual in the special education office. And that then translated to it's just seeming like it's a special education issue and not a district issue. My understanding also is that when she came in, the letter was to the superintendent, which, they're supposed to roll out the work to make sure that there's this communication that's happening, updates to the board, and actual changes are taking place. I can't, go based off of what happened in the past. I just know what we're doing to move forward. I do know that some of the items that were completed, what we will do is actually just review them, and then they will go into the compliance document as an update to really start systematizing these processes so that we get better. I want to reiterate again, we have leaned on the special education department only, and that's not good practice. Special education is a result of some tier 1 issues, which are in the general education classroom. And we have to enhance that process. That's why the report talks so much about multi-tiered systems of support. We are really making sure that each school is tight with those systems in their school. It's not a program, it's not a plan, it's a system, so that we continue to move in the right direction. It addresses academics, it addresses behavior, it addresses attendance. The overclassification rates have come without substantiated data. You have to show that it's a true need and not necessarily you've missed so many days of school and now you're behind in grade level and now you need special education. Like we can't just continue to work in this cycle, and those are the pieces that the report addresses. And I believe that, by her meeting with the state monitor, that's going to be another compliance piece. I am so thankful for the document that was created to capture this evidence, and I will let you know, you will be getting reports and updates on this regularly. That's that.
1 second. Is there any other trustee who has not
She's still
asked? Are you still talking, Trustee Maribel?
present.
I just want to say thank you to Ms. White for her presentation. It was very comprehensive. I totally appreciate it. I've been on this board a year and a half, and I didn't even know that the state monitor for special education was even in the district.
Thank you.
So, can we get the echo? So, thank you, Ms. White, for this presentation.
Yes, thank you.
I wasn't aware of Judy Elliott until maybe my second year ever on the board, which would have been 2020. So I was aware that we were receiving reports from her. Trustee Kelly and I, at some point during, I think, 2023, initiated a request to get to see where we were and what was going on. I think it was important what you said, the difference between compliance and systemic. I mean, compliance being tunnel vision because it's what are known factors and just kind of niche to just certain things for compliance purposes only. We're not looking at the whole picture, where systemic is the whole picture. I remember people speaking during public comment many times, including Trustee Peterson when she was on public comment, and another fellow whose beard is not as long as it is now, asking the same question: where are the Judy Elliott reports? Are we paying attention? Do we know what's going on? Why are we, when we know that COVID happened and there were children, students who were owed compensatory services when we came back from COVID, and questions were asked, where is the audits of special education to know where our students who were owed compensatory services after COVID, before COVID? So these questions have been asked to and seemingly fallen on deaf ears and short arms. So, but I will say, I have one question though, and you said that Dr. Elliott gave us a year to get this together. So I am going to question why she didn't put that type of bind on us before now. Why did it take all the way till now for her to say you have a year? Because there were folks sitting in these seats for years before us who, I won't finish that sentence, but how is it that we're just now getting the ultimatum that we should have had a long time ago?
Thank you for that. And to answer is the best way I can based on my asking that same question of her. As you are aware, even from her last visit in 2019, we've had significant leadership change. And even now, and you know, Trustee Kelly, and I think that is also part of where when we look at the root cause, because I don't ever want to, and what you shared, Trustee Kelly, there's evidence of that work being done. There's evidence of concern being communicated to leadership at the time, even in 2019, and it explicitly shares what the concern was, that the lift was happening in one area. And I always go back to my science world, right? As a science teacher, this organization or this organism, if one of the systems is down, it's going to have an impact on the organism as a whole. Okay, and so this lift could not only be a special education lift, but the evidence shows that the people that thought the work was only theirs were only the ones doing it. When I shared this with Executive Cabinet, and if you're okay with me sharing this, Dr. Doggett, he sat back, he said, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because I didn't know this report on this level. And as this is being reported out, and again, I am not going to discredit because I understand what project management work looks like. I understand as a former receivership principal, right, what this type of works. And if you do not understand how to lift it, and I say this from a lens of a person who's sitting on the dais, who was my state monitor when I was a receivership principal, who was on my butt, but I also was given a tracking, or what I'm sharing with you all, a planning tool. And someone had to report in, right, to me to ask me, why are you in the red in this area? Why are you only progressing? What type of supports do you need? So when you start to unpack the planning tool, and that's why I said we have the right person in the right seat with Dana Gardner, because that planning tool that she created is, I mean, unpacking each and every recommendation that Judy Elliott met. But if you notice, even in the example I gave you, my name is not the sole name up there because this is not solely my responsibility. And partially in my recommendation I shared with you, it's yours too. It's yours too, and this is becoming a passion project for me, because I am that person when someone says, well, suspend the student. No, you will not. And I'm getting pushback on why I'm saying no. Are you using progressive discipline? Are you using the code of conduct? And then I get every other reason, but there's ownership in all of this, myself included. And so I own this work. But I charge everyone here to own it as well, because one of the things that Dr. Strickland says, before you point a finger, make sure you swept at your own front door. So what are you doing in your decision making? What are you doing as far as your culture and climate that you're creating? So this is legacy work, and that's where I think the root cause was. This was silo work that became a heavy lift for some folks, and I think collectively and universally, if we all understand our role in this, we'll be able to get where we need to go. But I think out of respect in this change again, she's like, I'm gonna give you a little bit of time. But she needs to see where we're having some impact. And that planning tool is gonna hold us accountable to that impact. And this right here today, this report out, With this comes accountability.
Thank you. Trustee Kelly, you have a comment? Trustee McDonough, comment?
Thank you. So this goes back to a federal settlement, you said, in 2016?
Correct.
Wasn't there any report back to the courts on progress over this period of time? Like, so can we get those documents?
I'm sure I can, I'll ask.
There should be. If this was
Sure.
per a settlement agreement, I would guess the terms of that settlement have some sort of reports back to the court.
Yes.
So
I have something that I can ask.
I guess I would like to see the actual settlement, and I want to see the audit. And these should be, I think, made available publicly. They should be on our website. But I'd be curious about that. I want to see what was reported back to the court over the years. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to also,
Trustee Kelly, go ahead.
sorry, I also want to kind of recognize that when Dr. Doggett, when I came on the board and I started to speak with Dr. Doggett about this, he did take ownership of what was going on. But in the compliance, special education compliance report we had, they were already talking about the science of reading. That is in the report from 2016 that we were fighting for in 2022 to change from literacy to the science of reading. And the reason I voted for our present superintendent is because he said he was going to institute a program, Amplify, for the science of reading, because a lot of that would help our students, and also Dr. Doggett, which is interesting because this was two separate conversations, and Dr. Doggett had said if we had any money, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Doggett, because you're looking at me, he wanted Amplify. And when we talked to Dr. Strickland and he brought it up, we need those type of programs. That's where our money needs to go. We have to figure out how to strengthen our curriculum. That's why I'm sitting here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kelly. Dr. Strickland, you have something?
Just to circle back with Trustee Kelly, I do know that we don't have Amplify as a program. We do have Foundations, which serves a similar purpose, and it goes through the skills sequence so that students are learning their sounds the right way. I will say that we are now starting to enhance even those items, looking at different type of AI systems that are out there to be tutors to our students so that they can continue to work at home. So more details to come on that. We're actually in talks with individuals now from different organizations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that, and you're right, Trustee Kelly. However, I did not see the whole entire report in its entirety. The portion that I've seen was the compliance checkoff. So there were certain things that I saw that pertain to my department that we just submitted because this was needed for the Dr. Julie Elliott report. After seeing the 70-page document and after Ms. White presented it, I would have done things a little bit differently. To put things as a system versus a submission. And that's the piece that we're working on now.
Any other questions, comments for Ms. White? Hearing none, thank you so much, Ms. White, as
Thank
usual.
you, everyone. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Moving on to our State Monitor report.
Good evening, everyone. All right, ready for our State Monitor report. This is the update. Just a reminder of the statutory authority of the Mount Vernon Monitor. Under Chapter 56 of the laws of 2025 requires the commissioner to appoint a monitor to the Mount Vernon City School District to provide oversight, guidance, and technical assistance related to the academic and fiscal policies, practices, program, decisions of the district, the Board of Education, and the superintendent. A reminder, on July 1st, I was appointed by Commissioner Betty Rosa to be the monitor of Mount Vernon City School District. Since mid-July, I have been meeting with individuals, stakeholders, examining documents, visiting schools, and attending board meetings. Development of the academic and fiscal plans, the financial plans. A key responsibility of the monitor is to work with the board to develop a proposed academic and financial plans for the 25-26 school year and the 4 subsequent school years. The financial plans shall ensure that the district budgets are balanced in accordance to generally accepted accounting principles. The plan structure. The monitor has prepared for the board's consideration a combination of academic improvements and financial plan. The plan is organized as follows, the document: assurances, introduction, organization of the plan, methodology of the data collection, theory of change for the district improvement, findings, recommendations, evidence of implementation by domain, summary, and then I will have appendices as well. The 4 domains: turnaround leadership, talent development, instructional transformation, cultural shift, and then finally the section on finance. I do want to I want to stick a finger in that for a minute. On the Judy Elliott, I did include the Judy Elliott plan inside of the document because of the significance of the findings. So I just want to note that that's in there, as well as New York State Education Department special eds, caps and aprons that are found inside for this district. So they're all included for special ed. So it will be wraparound, not just one plan, and then our plan. It's the plan. Just to remind everybody of that. Timeline. The public hearing will be announced today. It will be on November 18th, but let me back up. Between November 6th through the 11th, possibly the 12th, the monitor will meet with the board members individually or in couples. We'll figure that out. To discuss in detail the plans. The plan must be sent out 3 days prior to the hearing. Our goal is to get it out by the 13th of November. The hearing will be on November 18th, 5:30 here in central offices. Our goal is to have it adopted at the November 25th board meeting. And it needs to be to the commissioner by December 1st, but if the board adopts it on the 25th, I guarantee you, if I can't get it out on the 25th, it will go out the 26th. So we'll get it out as soon as possible. With the public hearing, we will bring our plan to the public on November 18th. And once the hearings have been conducted and the public comments considered, the monitor will then again submit the document to the board, and then hopefully by the 25th it gets voted on, and by December 1st it's into the commissioner. In summary, again, the plans must be to the commissioner by December 1st. There is opportunity for the board, the district staff for feedback and public comment. The law provides powerful incentives for the board and the monitor to work together to submit a plan that we can come to consensus on. Once the plan is approved by the commissioner, it is not aspirational. The board is committing to the district to implement its recommendations, and failure to do so may cause the monitor to file a notice of violation with the commissioner. But we're not going to have that happen, because we're going to make our quarterly reports. The goal is to create a plan that, when implemented with full fidelity, will allow the district to improve its academic outcomes and achieve financial ability. So that is the plan.
Thank you, Dr. Wilkins. Appreciate that. Are there any questions from any board members, starting from my left this time? Anything? From my right? Trustee Scott, Trustee Brown, Trustee Peterson. Thanks very much again, Dr. Wilkins. We're looking forward to this embarkment. Appreciate you. Moving on to our agendas, our resolutions. Are there any questions for any of the resolutions in the Human Resources Section 4, Resolutions 4.1 through 4.12? Any questions?
Yeah, can I get clarification on 412?
I'm sorry, you have a clarification on Resolution 4.12?
Yep. So for 4.12, we were told that the titles Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner for human resources were not appropriate titles for the school district, and they were therefore abolished. And since they were abolished, we wanted to ensure that individuals were not displaced from their positions, so they returned to their old title, which is more appropriate for the work that's being done as personnel associate.
So there is no detrimental impact on anybody who's under this? There is no detrimental impact on anybody who is under this resolution?
No, as per CSEA contract, there's none. Correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kelly. Anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, moving, I'm sorry?
I just have one comment on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Maribel, can't hear.
No problem. On 4.1, I noticed that the tenure appointments, the tenure, I think they're tenure appointments, tenure dates for the individuals. If we could have those items in a timely manner, because currently we're looking at dates that are 12/8, some are even estoppel dates, 10/26, 11/15. So if we could have those dates 60 days out so we don't run into any concerns, just looking at some of the information where there may be, I don't know, there may be some high levels of absenteeism on some of them. So just asking that we have them 60 days out as opposed to at the date of or estoppel dates.
President Maribel, you're absolutely correct. I am definitely not a fan of any estoppel. And what I will say is that Associate Superintendent Graves has done a fantastic job by making sure that the information is directly on the principal's calendar and that they are to get it in a timely fashion. We will adjust to ensure the 60-day mark, but I do know that there's one that won't be 60 days because I just met with that person today, but it will be before the estoppel date. So that's the only thing I can say, but that is noted.
Thank you. If no other further questions, moving on to acceptance of number 5, curriculum and instruction 5.1. Any questions on this resolution? From my left, anybody? From my right? Hearing none, moving on to section 6, student personnel services. Do we have any questions for resolutions 6.1 through 6.9? Any questions? Hearing none, moving forward to section 7, business office. Are there any questions for resolution 7.1 through 7.5? Any? Trustee Maribel, anything? We're good? Okay. Hearing none, moving forward to section 8. Any questions? Board of Education, 8.1 through 8.7. Any questions? I'm sorry, go. We're gonna. Do you want to do that now? Or? Okay. Dr. Strickland would like to step back to section 7 for the business office. 7.5, authorization to adopt the budget calendar for 2026-2027.
So I just found out that who the individual was that was working on the budget calendar. I was actually told that that was already completed by the previous individual in the role. I will say that this calendar will already have to be updated because we have a state monitor. Our balanced budget is due March 1st or March 2nd. So that means we actually have to get it to you mid-February and get it to her before March 1st or March 2nd. So there's going to be alterations to this date. This is something that we'll bring up in committee just to be fully transparent with our budget chair. And do know that there's going to be some alterations to the calendar.
Thank you for that, Dr. Strickland. So back at number 8, Board of Education. Any questions 8-1 through 8-7? I heard none. Still the same. Thank you. Moving forward to number 9, and which is going to take a vote for items to consent agenda. 9.1, authorization to send items to consent agenda.
Second.
Hearing second. Please have a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Moving on to 10.1, motion to adjourn meeting. 10.1 to adjourn meeting. Do I have a vote?
Can I have a second?
Second.
Having second, do we have a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us digitally, online, and in-house. Thank you very much, and we'll have a good night. See you soon.